Welcome to Mentor Time today. We have a topic that probably sounds kind of odd, getting known and noticed by thanking people. I know, but here's the takeaway. You'd be surprised where there are occasions you can say thank you. That's not the traditional one you're probably thinking of, or one or two, that gets you attention in memorable ways. And that's what you want, ways that you can stick out in people's minds just for thanking them. So here's how we'll get there. We'll talk first about why thanking isn't this limited, what I just referred to. Unexpected thank you because, and then we always end with, and what should you do? So the opportunity to do Slido, I think we'll just do a chat box because we don't have a lot of people here today. And I'll read the examples of where did you thank someone in the last month? Think about it. You probably may not even remember it. Could be at home, could be part of your career network that you have. Think about what example would be a way that you thank someone in the last month. And if you're watching this in the replay, I'd ask you to do the same thing. Make a note about it. Okay, thank you. Yesterday at the end of a class that this person was teaching, I was able to say thank you to the other instructors for their support. That's a great example. And that's one that I hope we all have the opportunity and civility to do for thanking other team members. And I know you were new to this team in the last several months, so it's great that they're there supporting you. All right, let's start with why thanking isn't this limited? And we could say that, but here's what I hear from people when I suggest things like, you need to write a thank you note when after you've had an interview. I've had two people say, I used to write thank you notes, but they never answered my question. One of them told me, I asked them for feedback, and I had told him before he wrote it he wasn't going to get feedback, but he wrote it anyway. So he's convinced that he's not going to ever write a thank you note again. And I haven't heard from the other person that told me that they weren't going to write them. In the last year or so, many of us have been recommending that you write a thank you note for getting a rejection message, even if it's automated, because eventually it probably will go to a human, depending on where the automated response goes. People say to me, really, Sue, why should I write for being rejected? There's a big reason. Number one, in this day and age, being ghosted by official career people, HR, recruiters, whoever, is very common. So if you get a rejection message, at least you know where you stand. The other reason for writing a rejection message, thank you, is to lay out for them what you brought, how and in what way you brought yourself to the interview, but also learned more about the company and why it's still top of your list to apply for, or this job is really something that suits you very well. Because so few people are doing this right now, you will stand out. Again, ways that make you memorable. You know that we've talked about connecting with them on LinkedIn afterwards. And sometimes when you get a rejection message, people tell me, I don't feel like connecting with them. Why should I connect with them? All the more reason if it's a company you're interested in. I tell people all the time, you could message your network a thank you message. And of course, I know we all run out of time and you're busy, busy, busy doing other things, and saying to you, you should tell your network thank you more often. I understand that. But we know everybody loves to be acknowledged. Everybody loves to get something serendipitously if people don't have a reason to be contacting you. We like to be remembered. I'm asking now for each of us to think what would be one idea of a way that I could stand out with a thank you? What kind of situation would it be in, or how might I get the thank you to someone? So go beyond what we talk about with thank you as gratitude. It is gratitude, but what could you use it to emphasize to make yourself memorable? For me, I got an email, I got a DM in a direct message in LinkedIn a few months ago from someone in that had taken my course in the first year in 2022. And I had included him among several other people I was sending a link to a survey for, and didn't expect to hear back from him. And he wrote and told me how much of an impact the course had on his next step for his career and what he's doing with it now. And he sent his thank yous. It was a surprise and a standout for me. I want to show you a framework. It's a two-part framework, and there's a sequencing to this about how you can use opportunities to get known and noticed by saying thank you. So first we'll talk about when are the opportunities, and then we'll talk about and how will you convey the thanks. So let's move on to unexpected thank yous because of the whens. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. Each of them has a little bit of dialogue typed in that gives you an idea of a sample script. Here's the one we expect. Thank you for giving me an honor. Thank you for facilitating the introduction to the job I just got. Thank you for accepting me for the fellowship. Those are pretty common thank yous. Now, these are unexpected situations. I'm willing to bet some of you haven't heard of many of them, or at least one of them. This one I'm putting here because I get thank yous when people are asking me to write a reference letter or give them other help. And they usually say something like, thank you in advance. I never hear from them whether they got the job or not, whether they got the fellowship, the acceptance to grad school, I've written letters for people who need confirmation for a visa to, this is someone I've known personally through working with them. And I'm left high and dry wondering months later, I wonder if so-and-so got his visa approved, or I wonder if someone never got into that fellowship program. Maybe it's just me. It's important to acknowledge when someone's relatives, friends, good colleagues that you have send sympathy or a condolence note. But you don't need to just write, I'm sorry about Jim's death to his partner. You can acknowledge how important he was and what you're thankful for. When people die and they get and family gets messages about how important that person was to parts of the network, not everybody knows that. We were surprised with letters about my father after he died to hear from people who he was the only ear, nose, and throat doctor in the area for many years. Hear from people who were classmates of ours who he had treated and what a difference it made in their lives. So if you haven't had the chance to tell someone before they die, try to let their family know in a way that says, and I'm thankful for what he gave me. I know this is going to sound like the rejection email. Really, Sue? You think I should write an email after an automated one-way interview where I'm on video and getting these questions thrown at me in a screening interviewed? And as I said a few minutes ago, when you write back to the person who arranged the interview or gave you the detail, that goes to a human. You can say, thank you for the opportunity. It's still you're the top of my list. I'm appreciative for what I learned even more about X and Y. Again, no one's writing those. go ahead and write them. It doesn't take that much time. And this sample script probably just needs an ending, sincerely yours or cordially yours, or whatever people write these days. LinkedIn offers us a lot of opportunities. Now they don't just show you in your feed when someone's having a job anniversary. You can see now under the My Network tab, they have a Grow Your Network, that's new connections, and catch up, job changes, birthdays, work anniversaries, et cetera, et cetera. So this person started a new position. I can say congrats. If I knew him better, I don't know him that well, I would say something beyond even thankful that you being in my network has broadened my knowledge about. But the more that you can help people understand what their work and what they brought to you was valuable to you, as you thank them, the better your network becomes, because that's a role model that we all want to follow, being able to be helpful to our network and hearing back from them what's worked or what's not worked as well. We're talking about thankful today. Peter is often a person I feature here. We've worked together for several years, and today I actually checked and noticed we've been connected for a little over 5 years now. And so I am sincerely saying to him on this webinar, thank you. You always amplify what I post with comments. You repost, you write your own posts about the value that I bring. But you can use the duration of your connection to point out to a colleague, oh, this is interesting. If you need a reason that doesn't have to do with an award, an honor, something big in work that they've done. And I'm calling this last one just because this is someone who wrote to me after his course. I just referred to this. I sent him a survey link, and I haven't heard from him in over 2 years. He said he's had a multilateral diplomatic role. He's traveling, going places, things that were aspirational for him during the professional presence course. Now I know that he achieved it. But he wrote to me just because. It wasn't related to the survey link. He didn't write the first day after I sent it. It was a few days later. And I appreciated that he took the time to say thank you. So the second part of the framework is, now how are you going to message people? And there are options to use different ways. So let me show you the ways you can do it. And perhaps there's even things you haven't tried or you could think of, or maybe there are things you're very experienced using. The first one is a direct message, audio or video. LinkedIn has it. You can attach links in email. In fact, I forgot to write email a link on this screen. And other messaging in other platforms, Insta, Threads, any platforms you're on like Slack or other workspaces. So when you are doing an audio or video message, what I'd like to show you is the how that you do it in LinkedIn as an example, because it's a little complicated and similar to other features. It has to be done in mobile on your device, a tablet or a phone. It can't be done on your desktop. This is my sister, so she's not going to mind that I'm showing her profile here. For a video message, you can see what's in the bottom. This is AI writing that puts it there automatically. I'm not going to even tell you to don't use it. Write something else. But if you want to make a video message or take a photo, you touch the attachment, the paper clip on the left, and it comes up with take a photo or video, and that will open your camera immediately. And you can set it up for a video or a photo. I don't know that there's a restriction on the video length, but you're not going to want to go on and on and on. On the other hand, LinkedIn audio messaging, which I would have shown you with my sister, but it turns out, since I've never messaged her through LinkedIn, apparently if it's your first message, you can't just send an audio email, but I could send it to someone who emailed me the other day, and you can see on the far right the microphone. You tap and hold the microphone. They say 60 seconds, aim for 58 seconds, but it's quite a long time to be able to record your audio message. It goes directly to them, sits on their servers, and so it doesn't take up any bandwidth for you in transmitting it either. And it's pretty common practice among a lot of LinkedIn trainers who are recommending that's a good way to put a message out because it is limited to 60 seconds. And it's always fun to get, as voices in your ear is a different dimension from what's on the screen, so it helps getting you known and noticed. There still are people who write me, and occasionally, only occasionally, a note or a letter. These would be ways to deliver things. You can do mail. You can do a delivery service if it were important enough to get your thank you to someone and you wanted to pay UPS or even, excuse me, have a messenger if you're in a big city. And you may want to use e-cards, a card site like Blue Mountain, where you can send something that's more specific to a thank you and write a longer note. The mail opportunity, or even the email that we just talked about, doesn't mean you can't use it. Be creative. A long time ago, people were talking about ways to deliver their resume innovatively to buildings where clients were that they wanted to be hired by. And some lady had her resume printed, this is pre-COVID, printed on a sheet cake and left it at reception, and they called her in. All right, you're going to be able to write. There's a range of audio, video, screen opportunities that you can use. So what should you do? First, I want to ask you, I'm going to leave this screen up, not go to the Slido poll. I made a list. On the left is the opportunities. On the right is the way that you would be able to consider contacting them. If you just put in the chat for me, which one might you like to try fairly soon? And what method, if you have time, what method do you want to use? And while we're waiting for people to put their information in, I'm going to make more of an effort to try to acknowledge a couple times a week different people in my network that I haven't been in touch with in a while. And that is something that I haven't done recently. I say that I'm too busy, like the rest of us. I'm going to try to use LinkedIn audio messages just so that I can be a little less formal when I do that. Yes, thank you. I like this. Using an e-card and also trying and leaving an audio message on LinkedIn. Great. And great. Audio messages, they're very personable. So I'm glad that both of you said that. That's great. Do you have, either one of you have a specific situation about an occasion that you might use this on? One of the people who's using audio said someone did it for her and she appreciated it. I love knowing that. That's great. That's really helpful. Another person said, if someone makes a connection with me, I'm going to try to do an audio message welcoming that. And that I think is fabulous. I should do more of that. There are a couple things that I wanted just to mention that didn't rise to a separate event, but this topic of gratitude and how you can acknowledge people. And I wanted to remind you there are incremental ways to thank people when occasions arise. You may wake up one day and say, oh, it was Sue's birthday last week. I'll send her a belated congrats and thank her for being in my network. Occasionally, I get someone who just decides to write me and update me on job progress. In this case, on the right-hand side, this is a version of that. This is someone that I worked with for many years. She and I both left the company about the same time. The last thing we had on LinkedIn was in 2020, at early COVID. And I've since had some email correspondence, Christmas greetings. But you can see she started off with, how are you? I see your business is going booming. She was connecting, and that really impressed me that she just took the time to write me totally out of the blue. It was just that message about me and a little update on her. We're getting towards the end of the year, at least the calendar year for many of us, and that's always a great time to reach out, even if it's not individuals, reach out to a network of people you went to university with, people that you have a network group with in some fashion. And the last one is a reframing. When you have milestone anniversaries, think about your milestone anniversary as a way to thank someone else for how they contributed to your success. And I'm thinking about, I say this, I had posted a week or two ago about this being 15 years since I received the first mentoring award from the APHA Student Association. And people that I thanked in that post, the one who nominated me to, and let them know how important they were for me getting along on this mentoring journey. As we go back to the takeaway, that unexpected thank yous, where you wouldn't necessarily believe you're sending a thank you, get you attention in memorable ways. I'm going to stop there and see if anybody wants to unmute, share experience, ask a question, tell me about an idea you have that I haven't mentioned, because I hope you have other things. That would be great.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Priyanka. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for this reminder. I think we think about people and we do a lot of thank you in advance, but it's the afterwards. When you said that there are a lot of people who don't reach out, I'm like, I was definitely one of those people. But reminds me that I need to reach out to quite a few people whom I have thanks in advance, but to also go back, whether or not whatever endeavor they helped me in was fruitful. It's the gesture that counts. My husband always says that in a world that's very transactional, you have to look for people who go beyond what they need. So it's a great reminder.
Thank you for mentioning that. There are many people that I think about and I think, gee, I never heard from them again. You weren't on my list that way because you come to these and you've said it in other places, including during the course. I love that it stimulated you to think through that same thing. Your comment just now gave me a reflection on, I've got to see if there's a way to thank people on LinkedIn. At least we can all do it individually, person to person, and I think it'll just remind us of our career path and where we've gone. So I love your reflection. It really helped me move along now too. Thank you.
I always try to send the thank you notes after an interview, even after a rejection. I it costs nothing, right? It costs just minutes, and I can't necessarily attribute it to the thank you note, but I have gotten responses of we decided we'd like you for this job instead, or we want to interview for this, and so it keeps it open. And so I think that's a great way, and it doesn't cost you anything. Like I said, I think I could do better at saying thank you to references or things like that. Kind of that I said thank you for doing it, but maybe I don't give them the update of, oh, it worked out or it didn't work out or whatnot. And so I think I could do a little bit better with that, and I hope that this kind of spurs me on to that.
Thank you, Peter, for that. And I think
Yeah.
you're in an opportunity now where the way in which you're working offers you an opportunity to engage that even more, just in terms of making yourself top of mind, but also being authentic in your gratitude, which I know you are. But it's true, it doesn't take long, but it's one of those 2-minute tasks that I do. I put it on my to-do list and I carry it around for a week or so, and then it falls off because something else comes up. And I'm really trying now to just stop and get things done, which is why I write a lot on my portable phone. Listen to me. On my phone in the morning with my fingers swiping. So thank you for that reminder for me as well. Appreciate it. All right. Well, Ron wasn't able to join us this time, but he sends his greetings. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Take care and thank you so much.